Odense, Denmark. The 65th minute. Denmark versus Ukraine. There's no tackle, no collision, no one within 10 feet of him. And then Christian Eriksen, one of the most beloved footballers on the planet, suddenly grabs his own chest with both hands and drops to the grass. For a few seconds, an entire stadium goes silent, because they have seen this before. 5 years ago, almost to the week, this exact man collapsed on a football pitch, and his heart stopped beating. He was, in the words of his own team doctor, gone. And then he came back. He clawed his way back to the very top of the sport, the Premier League, a comeback so improbable it belonged in a movie. And now here he is again. Down, not moving. So the question screaming through every stadium, every living room, every phone is brutally simple. Is it happening again? I'm Sebastian, and this is the Injury Breakdown. Today we go inside your body's most reliable machine, the human heart, and the most terrifying when it fails. I'll show you why a fit, healthy athlete can collapse with zero warning, what the device hidden in Eriksen's chest is doing, and why the line between living and dying can come down to a window of time so small you could blink and miss it. But first, you need to understand what you're looking at. Because almost everyone, including the commentators calling it live, gets this completely wrong. To understand the panic in Odense, you have to go back to the 12th of June, 2021, Euro 2020, Denmark versus Finland, a packed home crowd in Copenhagen. The 43rd minute. Eriksen jogs over to collect a routine throw-in. No contact, nothing dramatic. And then he just falls forward. Stiff. Unconscious before he even hits the ground. What followed was the most frightening thing live football has ever broadcast. His teammates sprinting toward him, then turning away in horror and forming a wall of bodies around their friend to shield his worst moment from the watching world. Medics performed CPR on the pitch, in front of everyone who loved him. Afterward, the team doctor, Morten Boesen, said 5 words the football world will never forget. He said he was gone. It was a cardiac arrest. Eriksen himself would later describe being gone from this world for 5 minutes. Hold on to that, because the fact that he can still walk, talk, and play football at all is, medically, a small miracle. But here's the detail almost no one remembers. After they restarted his heart, his doctors placed a device inside his body. A guardian, built for one single purpose: to never, ever let his heart stop again. So when he went down this week, that machine was still in there, still watching. Which raises a question that should give you chills. If he has a built-in defibrillator inside his chest, how was a second collapse even possible? Stay with me. The answer is the whole story. Here is where the entire world gets it wrong. When a footballer drops, everyone reaches for the same phrase: heart attack. But it's almost never a heart attack, and the difference isn't trivia. It's 2 completely separate emergencies. Picture your heart as a house. A heart attack is a plumbing problem. A pipe, a coronary artery, gets blocked, and a section of heart muscle starts to starve. But here's the key. In most heart attacks, the heart keeps beating. The person is usually awake, in pain, clutching their chest, but conscious. What happened to Eriksen in 2021 was not a plumbing problem. It was an electrical one. Because your heartbeat isn't just muscle. It's electricity, a precise pulse that sweeps through the heart and tells it exactly when to squeeze. A cardiac arrest is what happens when that signal collapses into chaos. A quivering, useless storm the doctors call ventricular fibrillation. The muscle is fine, the wiring is not. And when the wiring fails, the pump doesn't slow down gently. It just stops. Instantly. No pulse. No blood to the brain. That's why Eriksen didn't sink slowly to his knees. He dropped like the power had been cut. Because it had. And here's the part that should make every parent of a young athlete sit up. In people over 50, it's clogged arteries that usually do the killing. But in young, elite, supremely fit athletes, it's almost always the electricity, inherited, hidden, silent faults in the heart's wiring. And the most chilling part? They can be completely invisible. No symptoms, no warning. A clean medical record, right up until the heart stops. So how common is this? We'll get there. But first you have to meet the machine in Eriksen's chest, because what it does next is astonishing. The device inside Christian Eriksen is called an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, and it's one of the most remarkable machines ever placed inside a human being. It's smaller than a deck of cards. It sits under the skin, near the collarbone, wired into the heart, and it never sleeps. Every single heartbeat, awake, asleep, sprinting, resting, it is watching, reading the rhythm, waiting. The instant it detects that chaotic electrical storm, the exact thing that nearly killed him, it reacts. First, it may fire off rapid, gentle pacing to nudge the rhythm back into line. And if that fails, it delivers the big one. A high-energy shock straight into the heart to slam it back into a normal beat. All of it automatic, in seconds, faster than any paramedic could ever reach him. Quick thing. If you're enjoying understanding the science behind sports' most shocking moments, take a second and subscribe to the Injury Breakdown. We keep going. So now you understand why the team doctor's words this week were chosen so carefully. He said, as I see it, the pacemaker is working as it should. The Guardian did its job. Now here is the nuance that almost every news report missed. This device does not prevent the emergency. It only ends it. It cannot stop a dangerous rhythm from starting. It can only catch it once it has already begun, which means the heart can still go haywire, the blood pressure can still crash, and the person can still collapse for those few terrifying seconds before the machine snaps them back. In other words, a man can have a state-of-the-art defibrillator stitched into his chest and still fall to the grass in front of the entire world. Which brings us to the question everybody is quietly avoiding. If this can happen even with the best protection medicine can offer, should he have ever been out there at all? Hold that thought. Because before we judge, you need to meet the men who came before him. Football has a graveyard, and every name in it teaches us something. Start with the miracle. March 2012. Bolton Wanderers midfielder Fabrice Muamba collapses during a cup match at Tottenham's White Hart Lane. Cardiac arrest. And what happened next is almost impossible to believe. His heart did not beat effectively on its own for 78 minutes. 78. He took around 15 separate defibrillator shocks. By every statistic in medicine, he should have died. Instead, he walked out of that hospital, his mind intact, and never played professionally again. But he lived. Then there are the silent enemies, the ones that don't grant a miracle. Sevilla's Antonio Puerta, 2007, killed by a disease that slowly replaces healthy heart muscle with scar tissue, turning the heart into a time bomb. And Fiorentina's captain, Davide Astori, who in 2018 didn't collapse mid-sprint at all. He went to sleep in a hotel room and never woke up. These killers don't only strike during exercise. Sometimes they strike in your sleep, which is exactly what makes them so hard to predict. There is even a freak version called commotio cordis, where a perfectly healthy heart is stopped dead by a single blunt blow to the chest. But the blow has to land in a window of just 10 to 30 milliseconds, 1 to 3% of a single heartbeat. Miss it by a hair, nothing happens. Hit it dead on, and the heart stops. So what separated Muamba, who lived, from the others, who didn't? One thing, above all else: time. And that takes us straight back to Eriksen. There's a concept in emergency medicine called the chain of survival. may be the single most important idea in this whole story. When a heart stops, a clock starts, and it is merciless. For every single minute that passes without CPR and a defibrillator shock, the chance of survival falls by roughly 7 to 10%. Shock a heart back within about 2 minutes, and survival can be as high as 80%. Wait 10 minutes with no help, and survival is close to zero. This is why Eriksen survived in 2021. Not luck. Location. He collapsed on a professional pitch, surrounded by elite medical staff, with a defibrillator within seconds of him. The exact same arrest on a Sunday league field, or alone in his living room, is a completely different story. And it is why, this week, the most important sentence wasn't about his diagnosis at all. It was this. He got up and walked off the pitch himself. In 2021, they carried him off on a stretcher. This time he walked. Whatever happened to his heart in that 65th minute, it was caught. But caught is not the same as cured. And that leaves us staring down the hardest question in all of sports medicine. So should Christian Eriksen ever play professional football again? Honestly, there is no clean answer, and even the experts are split. Modern sports cardiologists have largely stopped banning these athletes outright. Big studies of athletes living with these defibrillators found no sports-related deaths and no device failures. And for many of them, sport is their whole identity, manageable with the right monitoring. But high-intensity sport, with its adrenaline surges and maximal sprints, is a known trigger for these deadly rhythms in a vulnerable heart, and the shocks are brutal. Around 30 to 40% of athletes shocked during exercise walk away from their sport afterward, not because their body forces them to, but because psychologically, they can't go back. So how do doctors decide? They lean on one sobering principle. It is the disease that kills, not the sport. The sport is just one trigger, acting on a heart that was already at risk. Which means the real question was never truly about football at all. It was always about one thing. What exactly is wrong with his heart? And that is the one thing we still do not know. Because here is where the official story runs out. Right now, no one has confirmed what caused this latest collapse. We don't know if the device fired a shock, or if his heart corrected on its own. We don't know if this was a repeat of 2021, or something entirely new. His own doctors said it plainly. He needs more tests to find out what caused it. So we will not speculate, and we will not hand you a diagnosis the doctors themselves have not given. But I'll leave you with the thought I can't shake. 5 years ago, this man's heart stopped, and a stadium watched him die, and then watched him come back. He rebuilt his entire career on borrowed time, with a machine standing guard inside his chest. And this week, that machine may have saved his life a second time. Most people get one miracle. Christian Eriksen may have just spent his second. And the real cliffhanger isn't even medical. It's human. Does a man who has stared this down twice finally walk away while he's ahead? Or does he lace up one more time, knowing exactly what's waiting in the wiring of his own heart? I'm Sebastian, and this was the injury breakdown. And if Eriksen's story showed you how fragile the human engine is, your next one shows you how far that same engine can be pushed. Over 2,000 men have broken the 4-minute mile. Not one woman has. A scientist predicted the sub-2-hour marathon back in 1991 with a pencil, and one cyclist did something physiologists called nearly impossible. The 5 most extreme physiologies in endurance sport. 5 different answers to the same impossible question. How far can a human engine be pushed before it breaks? It's on screen right now. Go watch it. And take care of your heart. It's the only one you get.